talked about how you read a book a day. What's your technique for reading? First of all, I see you're really busy, right? You walk around here, you got a big crew, and you've got people following you with cameras all the time. Where do you find the time to read a book a day? How long does it take you to read a book? And how in-depth are you reading it versus skimming it? How does that work?
Here's my thing. Most books suck, first of all. So you don't need to read as many books as you think. So in a book a day, I often read some of the great books over and over, maybe once a year. I read Civilization's Discontents by Sigmund Freud probably 10 times a year. It's that good. And when you pick up a book that someone recommends, and it's the book of the day for me, and I realize it's not that good, I don't finish it. And people think that's controversial. Oh, Ty, you don't really finish a book a day. I'm like, yes, I did. I got the only good, the rest of the book is just, they couldn't sell. They had one good premise that was 8 pages, but the publisher's like, we can't sell an 8-page book for 25 bucks. So fill it up with anecdotal stories. Once I find out their premise in the chapter, I just move on because I know they're only going to put stories in there supporting what they said.
I'll join you in the controversy. I mean, as I get older, I have the same experience. When I was younger, I used to bull my way through everything. Yes. And now, I mean, I was in the middle of a book the other day, and it was a 500-page book, and I was at page 350. And normally, I've been like, okay, there's only 150 pages left. Go for it, right? Let's finish this thing through. At page 350, I was like, this is not worth another 2 hours of my time. I'm done here. We're finished. I put it down. Well, I hear you.
All right, the guy just said I set a record. I think this is $800 worth of books. 5 bags here at Barnes & Noble. So my question to you is, what is your knowledge budget? Most people, if you go through their closet, they show their shoes, they show all their, you know, what I call RRD expenses, things that rust, rot, and depreciate. This stuff, you should be spending, I don't always spend $800, like sometimes I spend 50 bucks, but you have to have a daily brain budget. You know, people have all kinds of budgets for shoes, stupid stuff, budgets for rent. Now, obviously you have to eat, but it'd be better to skip a meal, skip some sushi, costs $100, take the $100 and put it here. At the end of the day, there's only one person on this planet that will take care of you or will take care of you best. It's you. You're the only person in possession of 100% of your DNA. Are you a fast learner or are you slow? This question is of the utmost importance for your life. And what's relevant for your life is a little experiment I've been running with fascinating results. So basically, most of us have been taught that we have to throttle our learning. Okay, that's what I call it. This is the opposite. I did a talk on this. So you have gulpers and throttlers. So when it comes to knowledge, most of us have become throttlers, meaning when we drink water, instead of drinking it real quickly, you know, like beer, some people can chug it. They can gulp it real fast. They've trained themselves because you have a natural reflex that keeps you from wanting to drink too fast because you can drown in your own fluids, right? There is good common sense to drinking slower, but there is an ability through training where you can actually get to the point where you can drink much more quickly than the average person. Now, when it comes to knowledge, I think there is somewhat of a danger of learning too fast, and people make a big deal out of this. Oh, you're gonna become too book smart. Hey, I want a book smart doctor. I don't want somebody who's like, yeah, you know, well, I just kind of go with my gut, and sometimes I kill people and sometimes I don't. You know, I want somebody who's got a tremendous amount of book smart, and the doctor does. Of course, I want that coupled with experience in the field. So it's not one or the other. We live in such a scarcity-minded world. People can't handle the fact that really what you want to be is book smart and street smart and experientially smart. So, and the reason I'm showing you these 20 or 30 books is because I want you to break out the mold that we've been taught, which is be careful of learning too fast. We've been kind of slowly, you know, if you're back in school, if you started reading too fast, other kids would make fun of you. Maybe your parents. You know, I was hanging out with Henry Winkler, and he talks about how his parents made fun of him. I mean, there's all kinds of traumas that might have happened to you in life, and so you become a throttler. You're somebody who's like, you know what, I'm gonna read 1 book a month. I'm gonna go to 1 conference every year. Hey, forget that, life's short. Sometimes, so my reading habits in terms of how I learn, how I try to gulp, sometimes I'll read a book summary. Sometimes I'll read the whole book from front to back. There's other books that I read one chapter and I'm like, this is enough. If I speed read one book, I'll read 4 or 5 in a day. I really do read that much, but it's not always in the same methodology and the same modality of reading. So my recommendation to you is to try, shake it up a little bit. You don't need to have 20 or 30 books. I'm not actually going to do this with 20 or 30. I'll probably pick a random row of books. They're all different kind of subjects. Let's see, this one's called The Creator Code, The Attacker's Advantage, John F. Kennedy, Carl Sagan's Cosmos, The Opposite of Small, and Barefoot to Billionaire, Autobiography. So I might take that row of 5 or 6 books, and I'll just pick and choose today. Like today's my mode is like gulping mode. So I'm gonna read, and this is what Bill Gates does, okay? Bill Gates, he takes a book vacation and he brings huge stacks of books that he hasn't had time to read, and he tries to get through them all. And he says that's his most creative time, because what happens is the ideas start mixing, matching, bumping into each other. And I think it's James Altucher or somebody wrote, you know, it's like ideas having babies, right? 2 people bump together, they have a kid, now there's 3. So sometimes with these books, you get an exponential effect. One book gives you a linear response, but you put 2 or 3 books and you don't just have 2 or 3, you have 10. That's synergy. So try that sometime. Just skim through 3 books for 15 minutes. Remember, if that bothers you, tomorrow you can go back to the old way of reading 1 book at a time. Always be mixing and matching. Humans do a lot better with recipes of variety. I found an unintended cool consequence of doing this is it makes me excited to read. We all get a little dopamine response from buying new books, seeing, you know, the new flashy covers. There's nothing wrong with it as long as it pushes you forward towards a logical goal. The logical goal is improve your life. So now, a question for you. What happened in your life when you really started gulping? Why am I talking about this? You'll be like 99% of the people on the planet. They're slow learners and they forget what the ancient philosophers used to say. Art is long, but life is short. Or too soon old and too late smart. So the problem with learning slowly is by the time you can reap the benefits of what you learned, you are 60 years old or 70 or 80 or dead. You know, art is long, meaning to gain a skill, the philosophers, the Greeks, the Romans were saying, takes a long time, but life is too short. By the time you mastered a skill, you're too old to use it. Say, no, Ty, I'm not gonna gulp. I like my you know, reading 1 book a year. Well, that's great if you had 100 years of your prime. One surety about life, even as we prolong our lives with better medicine and healthcare, the prime of your life is not that long. You know, after 65, 70 years old, you're not gonna have the energy that you have now, but you might live another 20 years. That means the prime of your life, you better optimize, and there's no better way to optimize it than get rid of limiting beliefs that people tell you, a lot of stupid people. And not only are they dumb, but they're worse than dumb. They wanna keep you dumb. So trust me, it's being done. People are reading a lot, learning a lot, getting ideas bouncing around their head. And the reward, and when you go up the chain and you study people who did big things, all those people are bouncing ideas around in their head. So